What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first edition of Nooners in Space, and hopefully there are many more to come. We'll be covering The Expanse right now, Season 1. Sasa is a first-time watcher, aka MackenzieLBurns, so we'll try not to go too far past. If you put spoilers in the chat, try to make them coded, a little bit of a coded language, maybe even troll Sasa a little bit. But we're going to ease into The Expanse. Axel Foley from Daily DVR podcast Winterfell, uh, Westworld DVR. He will be coming on with us and talking about this awesome series based on the books by James S.A. S.A. Corey. Leviathon Wakes is the first one. I recommend getting it. It's a pretty easy read, especially compared to George R.R. Martin. There's a few big technical terms, but it explains itself well in layman's terms. So it's really enjoyable. I'll compare a little bit of it to the first season, but it's actually really, really true to the show. It's this political game. You all know what it is. We'll get into what's going on with it, but some people call it the Game of Thrones in space. But after this last season, I don't know if you want to compare it to that. I do enjoy this, though. It's really, really good. So we got a lot of cool people in the chat, but let me introduce my co-host, MackenzieLBurns. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of talk about this because me and you already do talk about a show that is kind of set in space on Cylon Johns on Friday night, but I'm excited to talk about a different one because the space genre is a little bit underused, I guess, in media usually. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Very good, very good. I really enjoyed the show from the beginning. Uh, I've gotten to see everything, but I haven't been able to watch it like I want to. This was picked up by a petition. We know what those are. And this was only 100,000 plus signatures, and Amazon picked it up. They lobbied for Amazon and Netflix and all that. Uh, hashtag screaming Firehawks, as you know. But this is a space drama, political drama, also science fiction. We have this alien molecule, is the best way I can describe it, called the proto molecule, which is reminiscent throughout. That's what this mystery revolves around. We'll call it the Mal conspiracy for now. And it really starts off with Julie Mao. What did you think about that opening sequence, and just your thoughts on Julie Mao in general? And what did you think when you started watching the show? What's your initial thoughts?
Um, I'm, there's the background noise, but I think that the first scene, it's a way to grab you, kind of like how other shows try to do that. They try to like grab you in a certain way. Um, Obviously, because it's set in space, it can't be using too much like what we would know. And because of the advancement in time, because it's 23rd century, um, so I think that it was good. Her character, we only kind of see her like a bit, if I remember correctly. But I feel like she's one that's gonna be like a carry. She was a carry through character, and that should be pivotal to um, that central plotline of the what you just described. It's kind of
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, she's the rich person's daughter, the person that seemingly we see this funding this operation. In the end, they hire basically Star Helix, which Ceres is a rock, is an asteroid that has an artificial orbit or was put into orbit by the people there, and they have this half G gravity at the max, and the farther you go out, the less gravity it is, just like a planet. Uh, the Coriolis effect, and you see this throughout the show. The closer they get in, if you pour water into a glass, it spirals down like a toilet, or you drop some dust, it'll even do a tornado. It's the cause for cyclonic effects on the Earth. That's why we have hurricanes, all that stuff. Who's your favorite character? Before I get to that, sorry. I'm being rude. I haven't said hey to the chat. So, Lady H of the North, what's going on? Happy to have you here. Cardinals Doomsday, how are you doing, my friend? What is good? Jordy Jedi, how is it going? Ion Tron, what is good? The Imagination Realm. Go check out www.theimaginationrealm.com, and there's also a Facebook group there as well. Sonny Frake, what is going on? Danny McKay, how's it going? And the Imagination Realm is linked in the descriptions below. Tad Dawson, what is good, my friend? Hermione Granger of House Gryffindor, how is it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Julianne89, thank you so much for stopping by. Steve York, what is up? The founder, one of the founders, as far as I know, of Geek Folk One. So go check that out. You can link that in the chat. Let's see, Linda R, thank you so much for coming out. Peter Griffin, giggity, my man, giggity. Danny McKay, pew, 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 pew. What is good? All right, Sasa, your favorite character. I would say mine is Amos and Miller, Detective Miller. And in the book, the first book, I haven't got into the second one yet, but I'll be done with this one in a couple days. It goes back between Holden and Miller. James Holden, the XO of the Canterbury, who, if y'all don't know in the chat, it got destroyed while a group of them sat there and watched. Miller, just a detective, gets the Julie Mao case, as we talked of. Who's your favorite character?
I kind of
Far. We're going to have new characters introduced later.
I kind of have two. The same one as you, Holden or Jim Holden, and what's her name? I can find it because it's like the document that has like the name on it. The female like doctor detective, the one that's with always the one.
Oh gosh.
Hold on, I have
it's
it.
not Shadi. That's the oh my gosh, I can't remember her name now.
It is. I just had it pulled up. Hold on.
The one who saves him from the airlock, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
In the book, she gets assigned his partner when Havelock, the guy who got shot.
it's Octavia Muss.
Oh, okay, yeah. Muss actually becomes his partner. It kind of happened in the show, but she deliberately becomes his partner. She said she didn't sleep with the right she wouldn't sleep with this guy, so she got to have him as a partner. So that made him feel really good about himself. He's a lot lankier and taller in the books, like most Belters are, but he does have that bone density injection, which is crazy. You know, their bones are brittle, born out there in the belt. What do you think about that life? They show this struggle. This isn't a fantasy world at all. This is super realistic, 23rd century. And this is what humans will probably do, because you have the belt, Earth, and Mars tentatively working together, but it's like countries here that are just on the brink of a Cold War at any second. What do you think about any of that I just said?
I think that, yeah, it's very realistic. It's not kind of like this suspension of reality. Like you have to kind of pull yourself into thinking like, oh yeah, everybody's just acts normal and is completely fine when they're in space, when it's not actually the truth, especially with having those bone probably injections and bone density strength medicine and all and other things. That seems pretty realistic. And I assume that they obviously had scientists, like at least not like at the what's that word? Like what's the word? I can't think of it. It's like this the like a reference, like a scientist, a couple of board of scientists to kind of make sure like what they're actually saying and they're doing is relatively
Oh yeah, it's been worked out. The first people who were there were normal. Like even in the books, they talk about this more, but the construction shafts on Eros are very short, because that was the first inhabited asteroid, I believe. And this is the beginning of the outer planets, and that's where you get the OPA, the Outer Planets Alliance, and we see them really. I mean, they're repressed. as a people. You can't say they're good or bad. They're just people, and this really is exhibited through this first season. And I would even go to say the first season is a little slow compared to the rest of the seasons. This is a bunch of setup, even though it's good. It's good setup.
Mhm.
And this whole time you're getting all of these personal conflicts, but in the back right there, kind of like the White Walkers. But it's the proto molecule. This thing's a lot smarter than any
Yeah.
White Walker can ever be, and we'll talk about its
Yeah.
evolution as a
Or
parasitic entity or whatever the hell that thing is.
or you could say that to make it another science fiction TV show reference, it's the Cylons that are just waiting in the background to strike.
Oh, you haven't seen Bobbi Draper yet. I think she comes out in season 2, but Lady H of the North says Brienne or Bobbi Draper. I would say Brienne only on the sheer fact that you know, it depends what G are they at? Are they at normal G? Are they at half G? I think that would make a difference because
Mhm.
Bobby Draper's from Mars, and they have a little less
Mm.
gravity than Earth does, so it's tough on their system when they go to Earth. I mean, they stay really accurate with this. I think
Yeah.
they put a lot of thought in this, and I'm so glad that we got it back from being canceled because this show's really well thought out. It sticks really close to the books, but it throws a few curveballs in there. It gets there different ways cinematically because, of course, sometimes you can't go straight by a book or it's going to look boring on screen.
Mhm.
And you can't have all this inner dialogue the whole time. But the books, I highly recommend it. And the proto molecule is like this brown color in the books, and it
Not
doesn't
the
look
blue.
anything like it does in the show. It's more disgusting and grows ribs and bone spurs out of Julie's back, and it kind of looks the same, except for the color. I guess they spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
like because it makes Julie right blue at the end of the it's like mixed like spots like not burned but they're like open crevices kind of thing, or it's like blue and brown. She like
yeah.
coughs up stuff that's brown, but then it's like blue bits like on her arms.
It feeds on like radiation and light as well, and it's supposed to be anaerobic as far as we know so far, and that means that it can't be caught. It's not airborne yet, but we see at the end when it turns into that guy, like it
Yeah.
mimics the guy at the end. That was a hell of a way to end the series, don't you think?
Hmm. Yeah, because it's kind of a way to go back to the because isn't that the first? I think it is the first kind of scene. It's like
Yeah, Julie
that flash.
stumbles upon it on the reactor.
Yes, it's like a connecting the back to the front or of the show. Um, I feel like it's very well done because it's only is like 10 episodes. Um, so they fit like a lot of dialogue and a lot of it. I guess it prepares you a lot for season 2, which makes sense. Um, and yeah, that like it's it's interesting that it's a biology that's their biggest weapon compared to like everything else that's like that could destroy them all. Um, in a sense, because of like the simple factor of radiation or not being able to survive on one planet compared to like another, or like all of this stuff, and it's just this thing that's come up that can take out pretty much all of them. Um, it's like
Yeah,
showing banding together. It's an important thing.
and people have been experimenting with this already. They turned it into a experiment on not series, but Eros, and we'll talk about that in just a second. What was y'all's favorite in chat? What are y'all's favorite moment from season 1? And what's going on, Living My Rhapsody? How's it going, LMR? Jake Cruz, what is up? Welcome to the chat. Lady H of the North, why Alex was everyone from the beginning? I think he was dishonorably discharged, but I
Mhm.
can't remember Alex's backstory. That's a good point. I will be looking that up. soon. And we'll be doing Nooners of Space, catching up on the Expanse. Season 3, we're going to cover every single episode. Season 1, we're just wetting our feet a little bit. We'll come back to Season 1 as we're talking about theories later. But right now, we're just giving you guys what you want. What's up, Alan? How's it going, man? I haven't seen you in a bit. Yes, The Expanse. It's just a fantastic series. We got to talk about it. Got to talk about it. Let's
Yeah,
see.
you can talk about like the whole parents maybe, and like how people are like made, whatever, especially with Holden.
Yeah, so on Earth, it's so vastly overpopulated. In one city, there's probably about 6 million people. Some places, they don't even have trees or animals. It's very sparse. You're lucky if you have a yard. And people have about what? Eight parents,
Parents.
I think. Holden had 8 parents.
Yes, he had. I think it said 4 mothers and 4 fathers, but only one woman carried. Obviously, one woman carried him, and we meet her. I think later in the show with Christian, the ambassador to the UN for some other.
Oh,
Because
God.
she shows up. Because she shows up at the house, and it's like he's my child, even though I had to share him with 8 other people.
Yeah, can't remember her name right now. It's right there on the tip of my tongue. Uh, damn, what's her name? I think it starts with an A. I just was talking about it. Oh my gosh. But she's basically the representative. Avasalar Sarala. Avasarala.
Mhm.
There we go. That's it. And Aaron Wright is the other guy. I don't know if he's the president. I can't remember at this point. Just like I said, we're getting back into this. But that is insane. You have to have some form of having a child, and when you have this overpopulation, what are you gonna do? Well, if you can make a child from multiple parents. Also, we're seeing this in the future. Today, we have 3-parent children that can be made, and that's being offered in places. And this actually gives you a chance to get better DNA. I'm sure there's gene splicing in there, especially people that have money. Um, and we'll see. The Earthers are a lot more stocky, and it's the farther you get out from, to Mars and to the belt, they get a little more elongated. And like I said earlier, there's there's surgeries for them. Beltalada. I can't even say it right now. Um,
Baltolawada? I don't know.
yes, Bear Island Josh. They mixed the DNA of them all and implanted it into one mom. Yes, yes, yes. Oh
But
yeah, Senator. There we go.
that's kind of
Um,
crazy though that it's 8 people have one child. Because it would, even though like they don't obviously go into it, but it's like how does parental rights work? Almost because it's like because she considered it her child, even though she had to share it with 8 people. And this is
yeah.
Holden.
You seemingly have time with the children. I'm sure it's based on the family orientation. Maybe they all live together, they're friends. That's possible as well. Or you just get with someone that wants to have a child. But I believe at this point, there are lots of people that want to have a child because no one really can at this point, and you probably have to have so many people to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, probably because there's, like you said, it's overpopulated, so it's probably that's the restriction. And it's like, yes, you can have a child, but you have to share it with 7 other people, pretty much. Like, maybe that's
Yeah.
why they do it. Mm.
It can be a good and a bad thing. And you can go off of Earth like Holden did. He left. He went to the belt for reasons that we'll find out later. He was on the camp, and most people there, that was basically their last stop. People that didn't want to be bothered, people that didn't really want to be found, but they were found and they were blown up. And this is an interesting dynamic. Like I said earlier, Amos is definitely one of my favorite characters. Just He's straight up. He tells you what's on his mind. No bullshit. and he just ready to crack some heads. You gotta love that. And when you see all these people in this pressure cooker situation, eh, eh, Holden's leadership skills really stand out. He's one of these natural born leaders, but reluctant leaders. It's kind of a classic hero, you know. I don't even want to compare it to Game of Thrones, but it's this classic hero trope.
Yeah.
And he just keeps his instincts are right on key. And him and Miller have this both in common, but different instincts for different things. When they meet up later, this makes for a really good pairing. Holden just thinks Miller's crazy, and Miller just thinks Holden's pretty damn scared, which he is. But he seems to make the right decisions in scared moments. So Mars on Phoebe Station, they've been working on this. What do you think the proto-molecule is, and what are they trying to do with it? We'll see a little bit more in season 2. Well, we'll get a lot of it in season 2, but what do you think? Since you're the first-time watcher and you've only seen season 1 so far.
The proto-molecule is the thing that was attacking them all in the end, right? Like, what they were, like, running away from, / what had attacked Julie. So why do I feel like it's like a bioweapon? It's like to try and take out as many people as possible, but leave people like alive. It's kind of like to try and get rid of some people so that there's not as much pressure necessarily on like the spaceship, because they had that whole thing with the radiation, and I can bet like rations and stuff like that. Even though they know how to sustain life, but it's like something like biology weapon or something like that to try and take them out.
Well, I can tell you this much without spoiling it. Yes, they're going to use it as a weapon, but right now they're definitely testing it. Eros is a massive testing ground. And really quick, Bear Allen, Josh, and Sonny Frank, thank y'all for these comments. Holden's parents have a communal marriage, and I remember reading that now. But they live on a large farm and ranch. Thank you, Sonny Frank and Bear Allen. See, keeping us in line here.
Dornish Dan says it makes Mother's and Father's Day more expensive. Yes.
Hey, Dornish Dan, what's up, buddy? What's up? Okay, what's up, Lady Laura Dane Starfall? I told you I'd be streaming on it, and we'll be covering it very extensively really soon with Axel Foley. Also, Linda Smith, your book will be mailed out tomorrow. I got all the tape and the packing stuff in order, so be on the lookout for that if you're listening. If not, I'll just PM you and take a picture. Okay, so...
Oh, Hack's Dogma's in the chat too.
What's up, Hacks Dogma? How's it going, man? Definitely go check out Hacks Dogma. It makes me look dumb by comparison. I'm sure he'll say elsewise in the chat, but you know. Okay, so we have this political struggle. We have the senator who is, doing everything she can do to find out what's going on, but it's going on right under her nose from Aaron Wright, right? How did you feel about her? Did you think she was a bad guy in the beginning?
I guess so, because it's like because the way that her character is kind of written, is kind of like I kind of wouldn't say no, but then as obviously the story kind of goes along, yes, because it's just because you like to believe that most people are good, but I should know by now that most people in a show aren't so good. But yeah, like I think it's just because of the way that the story kind of evolves and changes, especially for her, like her character and a couple of other ones, that just...
Well, she's one of those characters that are portrayed instantly as being bad. You saw what she did to the Belcher that come in, the OPA member, hung him up like gravity, torture him for her. And she was trying to her defense, I'm not advocating torture. She was trying to stop a war. This is what everybody does not want, a war. This is going to be devastation. And someone in the background is starting it. you know, and then making it look like Mars did it. And this is probably a private corporation. You know, war makes money, blah, blah, blah. But I can't tell you till we get to season 2 and we break that down. Aerostation. What did you think about that? They got this massive, basically, petri dish of people that's false nuclear explosion is how it happens in the books. It kind of happens very, very close uh, in the show. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts? Expand on what you think the proto molecule is here, because this was basically their testing ground for this, trying to figure out what this thing is capable of, what it's going to do.
I think it's probably because it's killing people or severely injuring people who don't really have radiation or don't have like enough of it, or like they didn't have like their top up of it. So it's probably going against like a weaker immune system, and by that it kind of takes off like people who are already probably been born into space and have kind of that natural, not what is it, the natural kind of like defense to radiation compared to people more or less from Earth. So it's just, but right now they're probably making it so that more people can be like affected by it. So like they're trying it on different people to see like how it works.
Well, the people in the belt are disposable from what we've seen, and they're definitely going to use that as a science project. How much Fred Johnson is involved is something you need to ask yourself. And oh yes, sir, Nikolai, what's going on? I will be doing Westworld season 3 videos when it airs for sure, man. I can't stay away from cinema. I just like doing that. Dornish Dan, that's what's up. Yeah, I haven't watched it. And then I got to definitely expand my mind while watching it and catching up and binging. So that'll be fun. What's up, Peter Ruin? I think that's right. Sorry for coughing into the mic. I really do enjoy this, and we see like the Rocinante. That's really nice. All of the technical aspects, these beautiful shots that we see back and forth. Also, Lady H of the North season 4, they still haven't given us a set date or anything yet. I hope it starts in the fall is what I'm hoping for. And Jake Cruz Westworld starts in 2020, unfortunately.
Yeah, 2020. Probably.
So do you have a favorite scene, Lassa?
Probably like the ones. I know it's weird, but it's mostly like the scenes that don't really involve too many people, and it's like how they show kind of what outer space kind of looks like, because I know in like other shows, they like show it, but they don't like show too much. So it's like what Earth kind of looks like and what Mars looks like, and like how the belt sort of looks like in that, because it's just cinematically so beautiful. But like a show with or a scene with characters, it's probably the ones where they're having to deal with like like the version of like what like they're infighting, not infighting issue, but it's like them against something else, like oh, I can't remember like all of them at one time right now, but it's like when they first have to what's his name? I can't remember, but it's like they find the one guy from another ship, and they have to figure out what they're gonna do to deal with him. Like if they're gonna kill him, like send him, like I think Holden's in that, or they send him through the airlock, or they're gonna keep him as a prisoner because they're under disguise as a certain ship. I can't remember what it is, but like because he is there, it like blows their cover, kind of. So it's stuff like that where it's like almost the infighting and then the aesthetic shots almost.
Yeah, then when you had the mole there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
the contacts in that you can see through. And my gosh, yeah, I'm definitely a belter. Can you see the bags under my eyes? I didn't sleep last night, Lady Laura Dane. But this gravity's hell on me right now. I'm stretching up. I'm about 7 feet tall. About 2 meters is how tall Miller is in the books. I think that's pretty
Mhm.
interesting. And this radiation sickness, I got to talk about in the book. It's horrible. It's horrible. You see them both going through it. These
Mhm.
POV chapters, and Miller can feel this thing in his lung coming loose. They can start to feel the bottom of their feet just decaying, the nose bleeding, and barely get there in time. It wasn't as exacerbated on the show, but I think Miller was out for 36 hours having tubes connected to him, had to get dialysis to get all the radiation out, but they got lucky, lucky, lucky. Thank you, Lady Laura Dane. Uh, and that's one of the most graphic scenes I've read so far in the books, but I'm
Mhm.
gonna get all up in them things.
I feel like
Heck,
they're
all up in them, huh?
I feel like they did a good job at showing the radiation sickness. Like, you're not being obviously too graphic because where is it being played? Like, it was being played on Space and Sci-Fi, and I think they're paid for or channels, but they're not like premium like HBO and stuff, so they can't go too graphic. If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So they went graphic enough to make you know what the people were suffering from, but not like horror movie version.
yeah, they push it. They push it pretty good. I mean, Miller's crazy ass, and the book he's just killing people left and right, and he starts to even tell himself he's not. He doesn't even feel it anymore. He's so distant from it. He's been so distant from it since his first kill on the job. And Peter Rowan, I don't know, Rowan, Peter. My favorite scene on Eros is them retching from radiation sickness in front of a poster, ironically saying everyone is a winner on Eros.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he was thinking about I can't remember the name of the damn games they were playing, but um, that's a horrible thing. That's one of the scariest things. Have you guys seen Chernobyl?
I haven't yet. I have
If you
to
want to
watch.
have a good panic attack, go watch it. It's like the radiation experience in the Expanse on Eros, but real and super. That's the whole thing. What the whole thing is about. That's probably one of the scariest ways because you're watching yourself just decay. And you know your DNA is breaking down and you're slowly just melting away, basically. I'm gonna give myself a panic attack thinking about it. Peter said, just started it. It's horrid, but excellent. Yes, it is definitely excellent. IMDb ranked it higher than Band of Brothers and definitely higher than Game of Thrones and other things. So it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah,
For
I haven't
sure.
watched it
It's a
yet.
horrible, tragic time in our history.
I haven't watched it yet, but you'll have to tell me because
Steve
I'm not.
York thinks hands melting off is tight, yo.
Ugh. Yeah, but like I can assume that the things like in the lungs may be similar to kind of like a lung infection or almost like pneumonia, maybe. 'Cause it's just
Well, basically the lining is deteriorating and his stomach's melting away from the inside. Ugh.
bleh.
Oh, it's really
Apologize
good.
if you're eating anybody.
I guess it's better than the way Julie Mao went because it took her a while. They didn't really tell you this on the show, but the light kind of feeds it. That she was trying to
Mhm,
kill the light, anything that put off any type of energy. She had her spacesuit on from the scopuli and kept it on, but then ended up having to take it off, and she's just found in this pool of brown muck.
mhm,
And this is where it really hits Miller
mhm.
that but you hear more. He's he's seemingly more in love with her earlier. They show it more in the
Yes.
show. What do you think about that? Miller being in love with Julie Mao, and it may not, maybe even more of a sister. Not like in the book, he definitely says it's not a romantic. It's more of a familiar type feel. I don't know how to say it.
Amelia. um, I think it's nice because you're kind of in a world where family means a lot. Like I can't remember his name, but it's like when all the prisoner or not the prisoners, when all the like the mechanics were all on the ship together, they were all with their kids and they were protesting. So family means kind of like a lot. And probably not a lot of them either have their own families anymore or something's happened. So it's like almost that adoptive family.
And he's a Wellwalla,
Mhm.
a traitor to his kind, working for the Earth-based corporation Star Helix, which was security on Ceres, but you could call them like a police force, ragtag police force, but a police force. Go ahead.
Um,
But to your
it,
point, yeah, they don't. He definitely doesn't really have that much family. He's alone in this world. Kind of feel for him, but they do make it like Alan says. I thought the Miller Julie thing was weird for me. They kind of do make it
yeah.
creepier in the show. In the books, it's not that he's just worried about her, and when he sees her everywhere, and she just talks to him. It's crazy. Like how he was hallucinating in the show. He sees that a lot where he's at when he makes decisions. She either approves, disapproves, but nothing is ever seemingly sexual in nature. It's weird. It's almost like a little sister type deal.
That's what people in the chat are saying, and yeah, kind of what Peter Rowe is saying is that you don't see it in the show, but imagine he's thralled over her, reading her videos, diaries, and background. He could be falling for the idea of the girl in her head. Yes, kind of like I know we keep throwing out different shows, but kind of like William and Westworld, like the idea of who she is rather than actually who.
Yeah, he says if he ever really met her in the books and his head dialogue, that it would be a disappointment for the both of them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's yeah, I think yeah, it's the idea of her and who she is rather than who she actually is. Because people do that all the time. Like they follow like um say for argument, like a celebrity. If you were ever to meet them, your expectation of them is not the same as what it would be in your head, because in your head you have this way of thinking, the way you would want to say to all these things. But if you got to meet them in person, it'd be probably very different. Um, so yeah, maybe something like that. Plus, like the whole brother sister protective nature. Maybe it's kind of like um, that. But yeah, it I guess it's kind of like at the same time it's supposed to be sweet. Maybe like that um, because she's not because she had to leave her ship and all of these other things, so she's kind of alone. So it's a mixture of the two.
Yeah, that I guess that was one of the things they could have showed a little bit more, but it's there. It's there. You know, the first season they're getting the hang of it. And I think it's a good first season, but honestly, it gets exponentially better the next season's going. Like I said before, this is a lot of setup because you kind of need it. And a lot of
Yeah.
the Belter language confused casual fans a little bit in the first season. That's one of the gripes. I didn't mind it, but it does explain it better in the books. I
Mhm.
still can't pronounce it right because I'm a southern ass, but it is very, very entertaining. I don't have that many qualms with season one of this. I think it's nice and good. I mean, I like Alex with a southern drawl and like a lot of the outer planets, you know, that you got Indian, Chinese, Brazilian, and the language is even mixed between that. You'll hear the accents. Yeah, southern drawl from this guy. But that's kind of how it is. And that's native to Mars now. And he could tell by this. Amos is from Earth as well, but just up Naomi's hiney the whole time. He owes her a debt, and I won't spoil that for you. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Languages.
oh, go ahead.
It was interesting with like the languages because over PA systems it'd be English and then I guess some form of maybe Mandarin or um some like like some other type of language because it wasn't because normally it's like English or anywhere where I am. Anyways, it's like English, French, and maybe like a Mandarin Cantonese, but it was just like English in I guess Mandarin or some type of version of that. So it's
Yeah.
cool that they just even though there's so many different languages that the two ones that they speak the most, I guess, in public is English and so on.
Yeah. Well, English and Chinese are the two main languages, and if it keeps going, that's just a logical outcome there. And Peter says, um, I saw one person from the show say they purposefully didn't subtitle the Belter because they wanted us Earthers feeling a bit out of the loop. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. If they were doing that, that shows a little creativity. They're having fun with it, and that usually what makes a good show in the long run because these people live and breathe this.
Mm-hmm.
Like unlike some people we've seen with shows we love, they don't necessarily live and breathe that content that they're putting out, and that's a big thing. Uh, just dedication, honestly. If you get burnt out on something, you're not gonna put out a good product. If you
So,
do, it'd be just forced labor.
so did the creator of the book series create the language, or did they have a separate
Yeah, they had the
outside
languages
source?
already in the book series.
Uh,
Yeah, there's phrases and everything in there.
but
I'm
like, was it the same thing where it's like they had an outside person, like a linguistic person, like they've done for other shows, like expand the language, or all the languages?
I
Like,
don't know if all there's a lot in here. There's probably as much as I've seen on the first in the first season. Yeah. I mean, but what do you think about that expansion that's happening? You have the Epstein drive, which is the fastest technology that they have now, but still, it takes years and years. And the Nauvoo. What about these Mormons? You get introduced to the Mormons that are going to find this mythical planet. Sounds a little Battlestar Galactica. Maybe they'll find the Lords of Kobol. We may never know. But what do you think about the Nauvoo and the Mormons? And this is not real Mormons. This is fictional Mormons before you start getting on me about the religion.
um, I think that it's because they show in the first couple of episodes that there's usually these strict, like more or less three different people or societies slash places. Um, so the fact that this other that wants to kind of not rise up, but try to what's the word like they'd want to try and find something as this it's cool. I mean, like for us ourselves, we want to try and cultivate any other type of planet, um more or less Mars right now, which is kind of funny. So why not try and do that? I mean, it may not be a success, but it could be at the same time. um it just shows that it's like, yeah, it's like if you want to do something, do it. It's just like just do it if you want to. But I mean, it's interesting that it's a bunch of people who are like of a certain, I guess, religious affiliation or faith that want to do this and want to put a lot of faith into that rather than just stay where they are and just kind of have their own separate kind of community, even though like they are probably separated anyways. Um, but I guess when you have a Mormon based or a Mormon faith religion, you just kind of do what you want almost. So it almost, I'm surprised there isn't like a religion that's kind of like that too. There where it's like they more or less believe in just space and not what we kind of believe in though. So because
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. What do you think about Fred Johnson? You know, he's the one that's aligning this project. It's on Tycho. It's another place that's kind of like Ceres, but this is where all a bunch of scientists are. Big money at Tycho. They're building all kinds of revolutionary equipment, all kinds of things that advanced as far as technology goes. Like the Nauvoo, that's a big old cylinder. They made it like a statue in the show. I can't remember if I don't think it's like that in the books, but I could be completely wrong. Yes, one religion they talk about in the books. Don't be an asshole, Peter Rowan said. Oh, that's funny. And they do try to sell their thing, but they are leaving this shithole. That's one thing you got to give them credit for. They're leaving and going for a new life. They have this Noah's Ark situation here, and it's going to be interesting to find out what happens. Trying not to spoil it for you too much there, Sasa. And we'll find out this week. We're going to go ahead and binge the rest of this week so Sasa can be caught up. This one we'll get to just tease her a little bit because she doesn't know what's happening
me.
in the first couple seasons yet. Plus, that gives me time to read up on the books. As far as next week as well, there might be one Monday, but I do have a pending doctor's appointment that might be at that time, so I might have to. Next week might be an off week for me, so we'll see. But Friday, Nooners of Ice and Fire is back. We'll have a Song of Ice and Fire based topic that I haven't decided yet. I may ask my patrons what they want to see, so we'll check that out. Oh man, we'll get to see a little bit more of Mars, but Mars is basically like some dome cities. They're trying to terraform it here. Earth, we've seen how devastating it is there, and people are just trying to vie for power. As I've said, the Belters, and I love Anderson Dawes. They made him a little different here, but that's a Chernobyl actor right there. And Anderson Dawes is really good. Him and Miller's interactions. Miller's trying to figure out what's going on. Anderson's trying to beat sense into him. Literally gets him fired. Same thing kind of happens in the books. It goes down a little better. I'm pretty sure Miller doesn't get almost killed in the books. I don't think that part ever happens, but they had to make it a little more dramatic.
Mhm.
Anderson Dawes, do you think he actually cares for the people?
Well, it seems like he didn't really care for Julie because her whole thing was coming there was to be saved by him, in some aspect. So maybe only just if he does care about people, it's a certain sector of people. Because maybe he's like that type of person where it's like I only like this type of people and none of you else kind of matters, even though they all do, because that's the person that Julie was looking for at the end was him, because she like goes to I think near his
Or
chamber.
Fred? Now I think he was her contact, but you got to remember him, Dawson and Anderson Dawes and Fred are working together. I think, yeah, as far as I know, they're I don't know how much they're in cahoots, but they are talking because Fred is part of the OPA, but he's acting on behalf of non-OPA interests at times here. You know, you have to wonder what he's doing. How much is at risk? He says he's trying to stop a war, gets the depositions from Holden, right? But Holden, forces his way off there, says he's going to give them sworn statements. In the books, he goes on and on. They're going to make money and run the ship, the Rocinante, like they did. They disguise it really bad, change the name. They end up, they get there. All that happens with the radiation, but they also find the ship. They find where Julie left from. Was that the Scopuli they found? No. Can't remember the name of the damn ship
Well, they
now.
found the scopuli, but then they did. I don't think they found the thing that she projected out of to get out of the scopuli, because they saw somebody with a uniform that had scopuli on the
Anubis. That's the name of the ship. Thank
yeah,
you so much, Peter.
yeah, with the name of that scopuli thing on the back of the uniform. So they went there, but I don't think they found like her
Yeah,
pod
well, she got.
out of.
Remember, okay, so the Scopuli got boarded. Those people took her on the Anubis. They took her because she was a complication. She's a rich girl. She's Mal's daughter. So that's how she got out of there. And I guess what happened, right, is the proto-molecule just basically killed everyone. And the other people left. The Scopuli was what they, not the Scopuli, but Julie took the pod and left that there. That's when she left the message, left the beacon. So
She wanted people to find
they're going to come back to that, right? It's kind of a Chekhov's gun. Who do you think is going to go back and find that? I could tell you what's going to happen. It's pretty cool in season 2. But yeah.
who would go back.
I love Miller.
It's hard to say who would go. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out who would go back. Because they already kind of went there, so trying to go back. Presumably that's like a longer mission to go back, right? Because it would have moved.
Well, I'll just say this: they want to destroy it.
Yeah.
You don't want that just sitting there and spreading. You're gonna try to destroy it. Something happens with that. I'm not gonna tell you how they try to destroy it, but everyone knows. And we'll see. We'll see. This, it ended on a really good note. It ended before the book ends, actually, I think, and I think they left it good and obscure. They didn't show the monster too much, the big bad in a sense. Where this is the proto molecule is bad, but the people are the real bad here. That's kind of, you have these underlying, these gray people, as far as characters, and the moral of society, whether or not people deserve to live, and then you have this X factor, this wild card that is a proto molecule that is being used right now to, well, basically they're synthesizing things, they're testing it. We'll see in season 2 a lot of cool shit. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it seems like it will be very cool in season 2, especially because how they leave off this season. So I'm assuming there was like a year wait because it was still on regular TV.
They don't give you much of a mustache twirling villain, except for what's his name at the end. For some reason, I cannot think of his damn name. See, I'm losing names today. Why am I doing this?
We have so many names in our heads still.
Aaron Wright. There we go. Aaron Wright. And yeah, maybe 100,000 people sacrificed on arrows to save 15 billion. It just wonders. I wonder. Jules Pierre Mal. It's a good quote. That's a good quote. Who is y'all's favorite person to love the hate? What character didn't you like in the chat of The Expanse season 1? And is there anyone that changed your mind from the beginning till the end of the show?
Let me see.
Because it was even like Amos. Amos is hard to like, kind of. You wonder how insane he really is, but no, he's just super tactical and always in that battle mode. I mean, that's him. A severe protector, but also shows these human moments when he gets drunk, when he gets him a hooker, when they're on Tycho, all that stuff. When he shows his empathy to the dude, the gay guy. I think, well, whatever. He shows empathy for all people. He feels like he's an outsider too, which he is, which I can empathize with. I'm not good with regular people, but I can see when someone like me that feels like an outsider, right? Yeah, Peter, I agree with you. Amos, he's a bit like an asshole, you think, at the beginning.
Yeah. And then when you think it's one of those like almost hate to love, but a character instead of like a trope. kind of for some people, it's like seriously, you hate her, but then sometimes you like her. um, yeah, like I think you and I started watching this in the beginning of the year, and then because of all these other shows, we had to push it. But now that
Yeah, I
it's
didn't
coming back,
realize how much work the Game of Thrones season would be. And
yeah,
then for what? For what? No, I had fun. I love all of you guys in the community.
yeah, it's awesome. And then now to come back to it, now that that's kind of now put to the side for now, is kind of awesome. And it's nice to kind of now almost balance the two. So almost at one point we could also, if once John St. Baptiste starts to watch this, or if he has watched it already, trying to do like a battle of the intergalactic type of TV show.
Yeah, he'll have BSG flashbacks amongst that. And Peter says that Amos's nickname is Murder Snuggles. For real, you want to give him a hug, and then he'll probably stab you in the gut once you do. But you still just want to give Amos a hug, man. I don't know what it is. It's hilarious. And this isn't gonna be a real long thing, but anything else y'all would like to say about season one, this inaugural season of The Expanse? And we're going to delve really deep into it in the next upcoming episodes. I want to give everybody a chance to catch up, maybe rewatch it. I didn't want to just super jump into it straight up, but the next ones, they're going to be completely character based. We might not, season 3, we're going to do every episode. And yeah, we're going to have basically character breakdown live streams on The Expanse as well, which I think will be very, very fun. There's many complicated characters here and very diverse. So I think we'll have a bunch of fun with that. Sasa,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think of the season as a whole? And be honest.
I enjoyed it. There was some parts where you're like, wait, what? But other parts where you're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, just the kind of concept of the show and how it's far into the future, but it's not like 50, like, it's not where it's like so far into the future that you're like, this is not like my brain cannot compute how the technology works. Like the technology that was involved, amazing. Like a lot of those intergalactic kind of shows that are set in the future will have very cool technology. So it's like, oh, that's cool that they kind of have one that similar. I found of the storyline pretty compelling, and the fact that it wasn't just all happy-go-lucky, that there was like obviously conflict, and that the big bad being kind of like the bio like the biology kind of aspect is very cool, because it's not something that you kind of like expected. It's not like a different race is trying to come and kill them all. It's medicine essentially, and it's biology that's coming to kind of take them out, which is very cool. um I also think the way that it was shot was usually really well, and I think they did a pretty good job on the casting. I think they explained it very well. If you haven't been, like, I personally haven't read the book, so it's good to kind of explain the world if you have or haven't read it almost.
Like I said, they're pretty easy read. They're not elementary, but the language it's easy to get through and register in your brain. You don't have to think about, oh, what does this word mean in this context? Not most of the time. And then if there's technical jargon, he will explain it. So it's pretty good. Yeah, Lady Laura Dane Starfall. I'm forgetting names too. It's hard, especially when you have a Song of Ice and Fire in your head and you have 15 Agons and 500 people with an A in their name that begins their name. And that's not even counting the rest of the alphabet. Thanks, Sonny Frank. Yeah, we're about to get out of here ourselves. Just want to do a little warm-up stream for Nooners in Space because it's really fun. Really quick, I just want to thank all my Patreons. I want to give a shout out to them, and then we'll do our signing off. But yeah, we got Amy, True, Anime Lover, Nicole, Bobbi Catalano, Big Hearts, Bobbi, Catherine Cronin, Catherine Harding, Clarissa Thompson, Dornish Dan, John St. Baptiste, Dark Mother, Katrin C from My Point of View, Nancy T, Sauntevia Major, Susan D. Thank y'all so much. I got a new video editor because of y'all. I'm
Wait,
putting everything back into this.
did you
What'd
say
you say? You yelling at me?
Nancy T?
Oh
Did
yeah,
you?
Nancy T. Did I forget Nancy T? No. No, the maker of blankets, Nancy T.
I don't know if you missed
Thank
it.
you, Sasa, for saving me on that one. You know, forgive me and my horrible, horrible memory.
You
But
have so many, that's why.
yeah,
As I
okay.
go through the list.
Go check out my Patreon if you want. Crazy Companion and up. Everybody gets one movie review a month. This month I'm doing John Wick Chapter 3. The upper echelons, which is Insane Elites and the Idiot Savants. They get a few of them. You get blood, Fire and Blood podcast. We have uh, early access to quickies of Ice and Fire. You're gonna have a quick draw of Westworld. You're gonna have all these things on different shows. Just come check it out. You get to help pick stuff. And we have watch parties, which are really fun. Twice a month on Saturdays. We just binge whatever we want. Last thing we did was watch all of the Lord of the Rings trilogies, but it can be whatever, and we'll figure it out. I want to thank y'all. But Sasa, where the hell can we find you at? And I hear there's something special going on Episode Club. It's kind of strange.
Yes, so you can find me all the usual places: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, where it's very similar to Johnny's, but slight variations, obviously. And for us on my channel, this week, 2 times a week, we'll be going over Stranger Things now because it's that final countdown for season 3. So on Wednesday, we should be doing Wednesday nights at 8:30. We should be doing episode or chapter 1 and chapter 2, The Vanishing of Will Byers and The Weirdo on Maple Street, if I remember those are the correct titles. So we're doing that on Wednesday, and then on a weekend, probably Saturdays around early afternoon, we'll be doing chapter 3 and 4, because if we do it like that, then we can make it in time for season 3. So there's that, and probably some other videos that have to drop, as well as butt stream, but that's gonna come at some point. It's just scheduled.
Game of Thrones best butt stream coming up. Septimore Dane wins hands down.
Yeah, so if you don't know, on my channel, one time we'll have so get your top 5 ladies and gentlemen butts, and we'll count them all down with the panel. So yeah, we'll have so much fun. Yeah, this was a great show to introduce me, Johnny. I really appreciated it. It's a little different than BSG, but I like it because it's slightly different and it's not more or less very military based. It's
Well, it has that aspect, but it's not straight up. Like BSG is basically following the president and the admiral around. So you're basically just in this military world, which is fine, but this broadens that aspect.
mm,
I like it a lot. BSG is really cool, in my opinion. I love that too. Go check out the Cylon Johns. Go check out John St. Baptiste. Be covering Good Omens, all things Neil Gaiman, John St. Baptiste, and Amy True cover. So definitely go check that out as well. Lauren's Corner. There's a lot of people. Yeah, BSG combined with GOT, combined with a 1950s detective flick. Perfect, Peter. That's perfect. That's exactly the best way to describe it. That's it. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Man. I think this has been awesome. I am your local well waller. your trader. No, I'm just kidding. But Belters forever. OPA forever. Down with the authority is what I say, right?
I guess.
Yeah, whatever. So I was like, yeah, I didn't even give Mackenzie a chance to even process this before I just threw her in the fire here.
In the
But
deep end. It's like, here.
but no problem, everyone. I've had a great time, and as always, we'll give a little finger gun salute. And remember, in space, no one can hear you fart. Pew pew. Catch y'all on the next Nooners in Space. Pew. pew pew. Non-nillers, Geek Folk 1. Shit.
Pew, pew, pew,
Let me
pew,
get-
pew, pew,
Pew pew. I'm just keeping it on so we look stupid. Oh, do watch The Magician's Lady Edge of the North, and I'm ending on that one, and I might talk about it soon, actually, because it's a pretty fun show. Love you guys. Peace out, my friend.
Bye.